Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Oh, I'm telling you, did I ever need this coffee this morning? That is for sure. Wow. Some days, you wake up and you're just a spring chicken, and other days you wake up and you may as well be a lame duck. It is so wild. And of course, every ache and pain you ever had when you were a kid comes back to haunt you when you get a little bit older. You know what I mean? It is truly crazy, I'll tell you what. But you wouldn't want to have it any other way. I used to tell folks, hey, listen, as you get older and stuff, and people, oh, I'm getting older and this and that. Well, hey, stop having birthdays, and then you have something to worry about. Anyway, wow. Well, guys, lots of positive things happening in the wide world and in this digital asset space. And one that I want to point out to you is actually really, really big. And there's an article that I picked up on Zero Hedge this morning. It's talking about how there's going to be a big tug of war between the utilization of stablecoins and credit cards for instant payments. And guess who was mentioned in there? You got it. Two, actually, I think. RLUSD was mentioned in there, and XRP. And in terms of XRP, it was Gemini's XRP credit card, or I don't know if it's a credit card or a debit card, whatever you want to call it. But needless to say, in this article, it is bringing out some really big points. One of them being that merchants in the United States right now, they pay like $100 billion in fees for using, credit cards for payments and stuff like that. So, and a lot of times you and I, we see it down there, says, oh, add 3% or 5% if you're paying by credit card, because of course the merchants, they just can't do business and pay that extra fee. So they pass it on to you and I as consumers oftentimes. Well, the article is arguing that, look, with these stable coins, that fee is next to nothing. Bang. And the payments are practically instantaneous. And of course, that right there is a big tell of what is probably coming down the road with regards to the whole, all of these payments and the processing of such and stuff like that. And remember, over in Dubai, like we have said, you can already use a lot of these digital assets, XRP for sure, making every kind of payment that you can possibly imagine, from buying groceries to paying a mortgage. You can use it for big now. The other big push, of course, is the Treasury Department pushing the whole idea of the utilization of stablecoins. The Genius Act, guys, like I said last night, it was designed for this very purpose. And so we're watching it happen in real time. This is really going on. It is a big time deal. Now, one of the things that I was also reviewing is right now there's a lot of conjecture about, a supply shock for XRP and, all this kind of stuff. Well, where is it coming from? Well, guys, it's coming from the fact that a lot of the XRP that we can, account for right now, and you got I think 37 billion with Ripple in the escrow. And then, of course, I think Ripple has another 2 or 3 billion out there. And of course, I think Chris Larson, 2 point some billion, Arthur Britto, 1 point some billion, or whatever, something like that. Anyway, that accounts for already 44% of XRP. The rest of it is all circulating. Now, watch that, because the escrow is getting lower and lower and lower. Now, I remember in the space when Jed McCaleb was programmatically selling his XRP, and this went on for a good long time. And then that ended. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, when that all ended, the price of XRP actually moved up quite a bit, because, of course, those programmatic sales were over and you weren't getting XRP on the cheap. And right now, there's a lot of institutional clients out there wanting to get their hands all over XRP. The ETFs are coming next month and that kind of stuff. And so we could literally see a price pump due to the fact that the availability is not going to be as available as it was before. I mean, that is a big deal. And so this idea, this supply shock, with the wrapped, I think it's wrapped MXRP and, of course, Flare networks and that, it could really have a genuine impact. And you won't be able to just get the XRP as easily as what we could before. I was reading an article how guys tracking Coinbase wallets and stuff like that had said, hey, a month ago, Coinbase had in cold storage up to 1 billion XRP or something like that, like 1 billion. And, now it's down to the tens of millions just very suddenly. Now, it could be they moved them to different wallets or whatever. A lot of conjecture out there. But the fact of the matter is, we're seeing a lower and lower available supply. Now, it feels as retail, oh, there's always enough to get. But guys, that is kind of like, it would not take much. It's kind of like, a delusion in a way. Because a lot of the exchanges, if everybody, for instance, that has XRP on Coinbase decided, oh, I'm going to go in and withdraw it, Coinbase would have to stop the trading, guys. They just don't have it to deliver. How about that right there? Yes, that is right. Absolutely. And of course, they're not the only exchange doing that. A lot of these exchanges could not facilitate that. If everybody that on that exchange said, oh, no, we all want our XRP, we're all going to withdraw it to our cold wallets, they wouldn't be able to deliver, guys. They'd have to go out and source it. And, they do that because, of course, they kind of estimate how much XRP they're going to need and all this and that. And that a lot of people will just keep it on the Coinbase platform. So you have a representation of what's there. But one thing I want to point out to you right now, and I would say get your XRP off these exchanges because you read the fine print. The exchange owns your XRP. You are a creditor to that exchange. That is a fact, Jack. And so if you really want to protect it, you got to get it off of there. Now, a lot of people ask, oh, David, what is the best coin wallet or, hardware wallet? Guys, they all do the same thing. Kind of like, cars, whether it's a Ford, a Chevy, a Mitsubishi, a Toyota, whatever. They all get you from point A to point B. It's just the different models and the options and all that. That's all it is. Now, the top 4, I think, are Tangem, Ledger, Trezor, and Decent. I think those are the top 4. Now, my recommendation to you would be, when you go out and you do buy one, buy it direct from the manufacturer. Even if they've got an official store on Amazon or one on eBay, who's supplying that official store? Because sometimes it's a third party supplying it. And I have close friends that actually went out and they had bought one of these wallets over there and got something like, 100,000 plus XRP on that thing. And one day woke up and it was gone. Because thing is with these hardware wallets, guys, most of them don't get hacked, but they can get compromised. And oftentimes they get compromised right from, the source that you're buying it on eBay or Amazon because somebody has fiddled around with the hardware and stuff like that. So that's why I say go direct to the manufacturer and get it. And just, span it out, see which one works best for you, the one that you're most comfortable interacting with. And then when you do these transfers at the beginning, do it with the smallest amount possible so that as you're learning, if you did make a mistake, well, you just didn't lose your whole bag, right? Because the immutability, in this digital asset space, one of the primary positive things about it is also one of the most, scary things about it too. I mean, when I'm transferring a decent amount, between my, institutional grade custodians and stuff like that, because guys, Judy and I, we do not really practice, cold wallets anymore because of the fact that, look, we can be easily tracked and people could dox us, and the fact that we're, just a visible person out there and people assuming, well, they must have big bags, and we got pretty good sized bags. But needless to say, you become a target. So why in the world would you entrust that to, just your own storage? So we don't. But, when I'm doing it, my heart is beating like a drum. I can tell you that right now. And so I do it the same way every time. And, I do it with, I don't do it when I'm tired. I don't do it when I'm hungry. I don't do it when I'm any kind of anxious or anything like that. I take my time. That's at least one of the insights I'd share with you right there. But I'll tell you, we're seeing a lot of application coming in for this distributed ledger technology space, and I think it's going to be massive. I think we're going to see a whole lot more of it between now and the end of the year, and of course into 2026. Now, having said that, one thing that we know what we are played with, especially with this recent drop, guys, boy, the psychology, did they ever play us right here? You got to get that in. You got to get that in. You got to get that dialed in so that you can actually see. You can see the markers and you can understand the whys and all that kind of stuff. Now, our coaching, we have been filled up. And I've gotten a lot of emails. People saying, David, are you going to open it up? Look, I'm going to open up October the 1st, which is a Wednesday. and I might open up October 8th and 9th, just those 3 days. You know, I'm looking at it. I'm thinking about it because we haven't made that decision yet. Maybe we will. I'll see. And just check me on if you're interested in it. That's where, just to give you an idea, one-on-one, we meet for an hour over Zoom. And yeah, we go over the psychology of this market. You know, we talk about different methods of decisive. We talk about balancing your portfolio towards the achievement of your goals, making sure that's in there. We do a whole lot of stuff. I'm telling you, it's like going to school. That's exactly what it is. It's not just some easy peasy little conversation. Nope. We go through some serious stuff and really great techniques. And we have an amazing, I have, just have met so many amazing people and every walk of life you can imagine. And it has really helped a lot of folks. So if that interests you, just check out thedigital.outlook.com, and my calendar's there. You can get yourself on the calendar. I'm going to be, after this video, I'll probably look and see which days we can open and stuff like that. And the reason we don't just open the whole month and all that at one time is because that would be kind of ridiculous. What if I couldn't commit to doing that? And if you get booked on that calendar, hey, we keep the appointment regardless, right? And so that's the thing. I don't want to open up too wide in case I'm not available. And why wouldn't I be available? Because I'm going to tell you something, guys. This thing starts to move. You're going to want to execute your plan, not just be creating it. That's exactly what Judy and I would be doing. And that's what I'd be encouraging you to do. I'll tell you what. Now, I'm going to put the links to a couple of these articles right down in here so that you can get that and read those for yourself. But guys, we are going to start trying to get more and more in depth in terms of educating you about what's really going on behind the scenes, because you got to know. And so I'll tell you what, hit the like and subscribe and that notification bell, because that's how you're going to know that we've uploaded another video. And by subscribing and liking it, hey, we get this message out to a lot more folks because of the whole algorithm of way YouTube works. So if you would do that, that would be a great bonus. But guys, love you so much. Can't wait to see what's coming in this space. And until later on today, when we have another fantastic video for you, have an amazing one and take care.